live because and we're live. Hey, you want an intro? My intro failed. This happens sometimes. Too much memory. Too much memory. Black screen. Better than a blue screen. I think people can hear us. If you can hear us, somebody say something in the chat. Just
Please
to make
confirm.
sure we're out there. All right.
We're old men. The tech is hard.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Feeling it. I see beached whale out there. And pulse jitsu. Not to mention a monkey or two.
Oh, good.
Mr. Monkey.
Can't go on without a monkey or two.
You can't do that. So Tuesday night.
Yep.
Tuesday night. What's going on? What do we want to go for first? Guys, if you have any questions, you want us to talk about something, Mick Slammin put it in there in the chat. Any news on the Hedron front? I don't think so. I haven't heard anything.
Nothing from Alex, no.
I haven't heard anything at all. Most breaking news, man, that ETH, it's looking sweet. Looking sweet. I don't know if you saw that it popped.
It popped and the ratio starting to change too, eh? Like to BTC.
Yep. Which is kind of like what's expected, but a lot of people get all bent out of shape over it, right? Because you don't know if it's really going to happen. They get kind of worried. And then we had these dumpers. We got dumpers all over the place. I mean,
indeed.
Taking value out. For larger players, some of them are risk moves, Like if you're pretty convinced. I mean, we had buy signals on ETH, 3-4 weeks ago. And now some people would act immediately on that. Other people looking at technicals or, the TA. And then they're looking for confirmations. And so we got the confirmations and now it's testing resistance at a new level. Looks to me that if it makes it past, the 3,200 level, it goes right to 4K. Maybe not immediately, but it could, but over some time. Yeah.
4K is a good number. Richard's in profit at 4K.
Yeah. And those, a shout out to Fast, man. This is like hour 6 of streaming for him today, Armstrong.
I only appeared 9 times in the PulseX conference. What's one more?
He's been busy. Knocking it off.
Fill in the blanks. No big deal.
Yeah. And so I don't know if are you familiar with the early days of Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Only from the history books, not from personal experience.
Because you're too young. Yeah. Well, back in that time frame, I might be the only one that remembers this word, flippering. The flippering. Now maybe it was just a made up word, like somebody had used it for a little bit and then they stopped using it. I don't know, but I still remember it. It was very common to see people flipping back and forth between BTC and ETH.
Well, that's all there was, right?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much all there was. And but the idea being is, you'd get the leaders of the pack, they'd figure out that, hey, Bitcoin's above and I get more ETH than I could before, and then they swap into ETH, and then some of the ETH people, once the ratio had shifted, they'd be like, oh, ETH's leading Bitcoin, and they'd flip it back. Right, flip it back. And so I can't speak for everybody who's doing what they're doing. Maybe some people absolutely decided to sell the bottom ish and get out. Maybe that's what the thing is. But it seems to me more like a more educated move. I mean, if I would think that if you're slinging millions of dollars around, you probably have a good idea what's going on. Probably felt pretty firm that ETH was going to pump, and you want to get the 3x on ETH because it definitely looks like PulseChain would trail. So I just threw that number out there, 3x, 10x, I don't know, whatever ETH does. But 3x, nice round number. Get the 3x in ETH, and then you would look for the next opportunity to swap it in.
And if PulseChain's running a little bit behind, you could buy back into PulseChains. Whoever exited, I heard they were buying ETH. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe they're doing a flippering, as you say.
Yeah, we'll bring that word back, or we'll make it up brand new. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with things. I know a lot of people freaking out. Hey, it's my buddy Randy Hilarski with the $20 super chat. ETH, Pulse, Inc, HEX, Solid X, Room. Exactly, dude.
I like
it. That's one of the paths, right? Makes sense to me. I didn't catch Briz on the conference completely. I just heard him talking about $10,000 Inc.
And bullish on Inc, I would say.
Briz is always right. But I'm pretty bullish as well. Thanks again, Randy. I'm pretty bullish on Inc as well, because you go look at the chart. Just today we began to see a little bit of a sell-off on Inc.
Yep. Well, it's just more catching up with everything else, right? Like the sell-off on Inc is pacing itself with the sell-off on Pulse and HEX and PulseX. It doesn't seem to be particularly intense. If anything, actually, it's down less than the other assets.
Yeah, it stayed pretty solid. I mean, it's like almost nearly, well, maybe it's not just going lateral, but that's what it looked like to me. Hex
it's about 37. Like, it's been there before. I don't think it's it's been bouncing around between like $1.35 and like $2 for like a couple months now.
Yeah, it's and it's been doing pretty well in that way. Monkey saying that Briz called for a 30K Inc. Yeah, maybe that's possible. I don't know. Maybe someday it's possible for sure.
This cycle, I'd be happy with the 3K Inc. Maybe next cycle we get the 30K Inc. But 3K is actually possible, in my opinion.
I'd be happy with $5 Inc.
$5. Oh, well, that's possible next week. You could probably make that happen yourself. Big bags.
Yeah. Let's see, RH Max out there. Yeah, Max. That's the first thing I said to him when he came on. Man, the screens kind of match each other. I like that.
Yeah. That Max actually made this screen that I have behind me.
Wow, that's why it looks so good.
I think Maddie made the one that you have behind you, or was that RH Max as well?
I don't know who made this one. It might have come from Maddie.
It's familiar. I've seen it before. Somewhere.
Yeah, one of the conferences or something we had done. So Randy Hilarski's talking about the ink printer printing. You want to tell people in real quick, kind of overview what Randy means by ink printer printing. Give us kind of an update.
Yeah, you bet. So the ink printer protocol, inkprinter.com, people can take a loan against their ink, minting the stablecoin INCD, ink dollar, and or ink D if you prefer. And they have an option then to stake the ink D single-sided to earn the print token. So that's one option. There's various other options too, though. Like, you can use it as leverage on ink. You can use it as a hedge against the price of ink. If you think the price is going to go up or you think the price is going to go down, there's ways you can take advantage of this protocol to either increase your wealth or increase your token count. Right?
All right. There you go, folks. Something to go check out. And while RH Max is here, hey Max, thanks for doing the conference. I appreciate it.
Indeed. Yeah, it was well done.
I found it informative. There's some good stuff, and etc. Yeah, hey Doug. Now Maddie's got some big stuff he's cooking up. I don't know what it is completely, but he will return.
Yes.
So I know that's going on.
He's on sabbatical. We'll see him again.
Yeah, well, I saw him at the comedy show.
Right. Yeah, I saw
so
that.
People want to follow him. You can follow him on X, and you can go out there. I guess that's about all. I want to say about that at this time.
Fair.
Hey, a protocol that I've been interested in, and have been watching pretty closely has been this new LPX launch. I know I brought it up last week in a couple of the streams and whatnot, and that's from the UpX guys. But that launched this week, like normal. You know, they had had some of these. These last minute things with coding and unexpected results and stuff as they finished up what they were doing. But LPX is launched, and I believe they have 5 or 6 different pools out now. They've already started printing profits. They're small to start with, but the LPX is a protocol from the PulseX guys. And I'll throw the link in the chat at some point here. But
so there's no token for this, right? Like there's no LPX token, anything like that. It's a utility that people can use, right?
Exactly. It's a protocol. Now you got to do your research, right? This is crypto.
Yep.
It's crypto. It is DeFi. You got to go do all that stuff. Make sure you do it. They presented today too at the conference. I think they covered it pretty good. But essentially, what I was able to do is go over there and deposit Pulse in there versus DAI. And because it was at the very beginning, I only had to put Pulse in. And then what this protocol does is it has settings, a no trade zone of a few percent, and so the price has to go up a couple percent. It sells a little bit of Pulse, and then when the price comes back down through the range and it gets below, it buys a little bit of Pulse. And then from that, it generates, based on that volatility, profits. So that's been going okay. I mean, this is really preliminary, so I don't know what the numbers will end up being, but so far, couple percent APR,
Okay. And so it's like, it's trading on, like, if a whale moves in too much into one pool, it's going to take some off the top. Right. And then it's going to, when somebody does too big a sell, it's going to buy some off the bottom. So it's like sort of goal to increase your total token count. Is that kind of the idea?
Exactly. Whatever the primary token or the funding token that people put in there for, it's looking to accumulate more of those.
And what does it cost to use it? What is the fee?
Yeah, they have, I don't remember the percentage offhand, so I don't want to throw it out there without going and looking. They have it right on their website, and I don't have it up because I was having some memory issues, like the failed video in the beginning. But it's a very small percentage of whatever the profits are that are generated. And if I'm not mistaken, it's right around 0.29% as a fee. But that's only when trades are made, and there's actually there's actually a profit made, I believe, from that.
And you're only paying a fee off your profit, so to speak. So it's kind of like there's no fee, though. Something changes hands, but that's fair.
But it's there. I mean, I say profit, but it's more likely what it is whatever dollar volume or whatever tokens get sold and whatever tokens get bought back. It would be my understanding 0.29% off of that, which goes to their dev team and their protocol.
Yeah, reasonable. What tokens can be used with it right now?
Currently, it's the cores plus Up and UpX. They're working on rolling out Up and UpX, but there's pools over there for EHEX, HEX, Pulse, Inc, PulseX, and those all have rolled out. Seem to be working fine so far. Of course, keep monitoring this situation. So long term, the idea behind it is to increase your count of tokens while taking a small profit, and because of the setup, supporting the price of whatever the token is. So it's not like selling
a better chart.
Yeah, trying to make a better chart, and so at first a lot of people scratch their head and be like, well, how can that even be possible? But some of us have probably looked at the charts before, and you've seen wicks up, and then they come back down, right? Sometimes somebody really smart wicks it back down because they saw the price go up, and sometimes people actually have limit orders, but that's not normally what's going on. What's normally going on is that any of the aggregator protocols, even within PulseX, they can only look at, it only makes sense for them to look at so many pools, right? And so all pools that are available are not necessarily represented in an aggregator. And somebody who's more technical can bring it up, but and put something in the chat. So what ends up happening is only the buy pressure that somebody comes in, like when they move the chart, the buy pressure that they bring in to move the chart only hits a certain set first. But it creates an ARB situation, and I know you know this, right? But it creates an ARB situation where there are still pools that need to be serviced. And so the arbiters figure that out very quickly.
I think the arbiters are usually bots in this case, right?
Yeah, they're bots, and they'll come back in the other direction, and so that gives us a window of opportunity. Then there's all sorts of other protocols looking to take advantage of the offset right at that time, and so LPX is one of those, right? And so what it's doing is it's looking for that moment in time, block by block, where a good trade can be made, and it tries to make the trade. And if it can't make the trade, it doesn't trade. It reverts. So kind of like expected quantity output, and if it doesn't make it, it comes back.
Okay, kind of like how flash loans work. Not that most people are doing that, but
yeah. So yeah. Cool. Anyways, so it's probably about as technical as I want to get with it. Yeah, like Randy's saying, Nope and Solid X is coming to that. I'm expecting actually all of the Solid Index to come. There'll be we've had some people petitioning for PDI to be on there. I'm excited about that. WETH, from Ethereum being on there. So the way it's rolling out is it made sense to do it this way, I think, right? I think it made sense. And this is what they chose anyways. They started with the cores first, and they're rolling this out and auditing and making sure
there's so much liquidity with the cores relative to most other tokens. That's a good, safe place to start.
Yeah, so they started there, and then that's phase one. Phase two, there'll be some extended list of like 10 or a dozen tokens. I don't know what they'll be, but I do believe the Solid Index tokens will be part of that. So that'd be like Fire Axis, Solid X, Nope will be in there. So there'll be a bunch of different things that'll go on, and then there's phase three. And phase three is you can add your own token, whatever you want to put in.
Nice. So with phase two, we're talking specific, protocols, teams on the Pulse chain. Like on a protocol level, do you see this as like a good thing that would ultimately support the price, make a better chart? Because that's kind of like my thinking as a founder is like, that's kind of like, I don't want to turn a bot on my community unless it's actually, and I know this isn't a bot. I know this is code. It's on the blockchain, but I don't want to like create a buy sell situation unless it ends up positive. Do you think this will end up positive for communities?
I think so. But I think results are going to vary.
Could be.
Based on participation, based on the token, based on the liquidity, based on the deposits. I think it'll vary. Right now, they're kind of giving us guardrails and kind of like training wheels on it. In that they set the numbers in advance. What the ranges are, what the tokens are, what the approach is, right? But in the future, when they get to phase three, which maybe it's I can't speak for the team, but maybe a month out, right? When you get to phase three, you can decide the type. You can decide, whether you want it to be completely immutable or whether you want to manage it. You can decide whether it's solo, nobody else can participate in it. Probably a lot of things I haven't learned yet, know about why I would make all these different choices in different ways.
Could be like specific strategies for specific protocols. Like if you're running tax tokens or something, like you might want things to happen that would be good overall for the community that wouldn't be intuitive in a normal situation, right? So those custom controls could be cool.
Yeah, and so if for the general audience, probably enough detail, but just to know that the stuff's out there. But to your question specifically, these initial public ones that came out, the way they're set up is to compound 50% of the profits, and so 50% of the profits compound back in and buy the token back, but 50% of them get converted to the anchor token, and they're available for people to claim. So, like in the case of the Pulse, well, all of it you can pull out at any time, but in the case of the Pulse and DAI, they accumulate you would accumulate a small amount of DAI in the profit area. You just push the button and pull it out when you're ready. right?
Yeah.
So it could be generating that way. But now, as a founder, you might not be interested in taking profit at all, or a different.
Totally. Like, yeah, I wouldn't want that 50% scenario. That wouldn't go
Or,
well. So yeah, I want to have a dial to turn that way down.
Yeah, but for your users, you want them to be able to take a profit without hurting the chart, presumably. But you might be wanting to support the token, and in that case, you might make it 100% compounding.
Well, this is what I figured. Like if it's selling a little bit off the top and buying a little bit off the bottom, like who's it taking that from? And it's mostly taking it from the bots, right? Like especially on the top, right? Like if it sells like the top, let's say 2%, right? And then it buys the bottom 2% consistently, up, down, up, down. Like it's taking the gains from a bot that's running an arbitrage. If it was a larger percent, 5%, 10%, it'd be taking it from somebody else. But
when we create the situation, because the users create it usually.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Right. And when they create it and they make that situation take place, right? What ends up happening is with it is the bots usually get the value, right?
Yeah.
So when I cause the slippage and I'm going to pay the extra percent or whatever because I caused the slippage, and the bot can get to these other pools, right? They'll go buy out of the other pool cheap, and then they'll sell, right? And they capture the high price. And so this is a way to kind of circumvent that. Yeah. And so it doesn't. So the LPX, except for instability of token prices going up, doesn't help the user who creates the situation, but it does compete with the bots, with the other protocols that might be out there trying to capture, that ARB. At least those are my words, the way I understand it. So it competes against us. It's not taken away from anybody else, but
yeah, no, I think it sounds like it's going to be an overall benefit, and I'm going to look at this very closely for some of my protocols. I think this could be something that could really paint a nice chart, and that will make a big difference, right? Especially when new people are coming in. If we can make some nice charts, with all the technicals that the pros want to see, that would be cool.
100%. 100%. So we're going to have to watch this, keep going. I'll throw that link out there while we have an opportunity to do that.
Do your own research, guys, and remember there's no crypto help desk, right? So if you're asking questions and someone DMs you, it's probably a scammer.
Yeah, not yet.
True. Maybe Richard's working on that, but yeah, not yet. I think he is working on something like that. I think because that would be a game changer, right? Like 1-800-BUY-CRYPTO or whatever. Talk to Richard Hart, or AI that says it's Richard Hart that tells you if something's a scam or not. That'd be sweet.
Mm-hmm. I think it's funny. I think it's funny when Richard Hart contacts me on Instagram.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know he was on Instagram.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, if you if you like my post or whatever, first like or whatever, I'll send nude pics, that type of thing. I've got a couple of those, right?
Oh, brutal.
Right. It's kind of funny, right? Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure that Richard Hart is not contacting me on Instagram.
Probably not. Yeah, the chances are.
But you have that out there. Hey, Tin Top, thanks for gifting those memberships. Much appreciated.
Oh, cool.
Much appreciated. All right, so we're talking about that LPX stuff. Yeah, so go follow the link. Go check that out. Hey, and the solid trader thing. Did we talk about that last week, or did I do the solid trader after we talked?
You did that. You did that one solo.
Yeah, it must have been afterwards. So there's a new trading bot on Telegram that's out there called Solid Trader, and you can people can actually refer others and earn a portion of whatever the trading fees are. But this is kind of like it's not a new concept at all, but it's pretty straightforward menu-driven trading system. You have to treat it like a hot wallet. I think you know about it because you had already gotten the link. I think I sent you my link, right?
Yeah, I used your link.
Oh, thanks. I thought you already had gotten in. But it worked pretty good. I've seen a couple people like Axis demonstrate a limit order out there. I've done market orders. Man, it's fast. It was really fast. Really
Cool.
fast. Like I'm
need
not
a limit
sure.
order, so this is fantastic. If we have limit orders via this, that's a game changer.
Yeah, and again, this is another one of those things, guys. When we talk about it, like, yeah, you know, you gotta be doing some research on this stuff. Be careful with it. I mean, I'm not down talking it at all. I mean, I set it up, but you do have to handle it like a you do need to handle it as if it's a hot wallet. And what does that mean? Some people say, what does that mean? Well, hey, listen, it's something online that's giving you keys and a password, and you gotta take that off the screen and go save it. So you don't take that and go put it in digital form. You don't take a picture of it. You don't copy paste it. You know, write it down on paper, right? But just the fact that it's out there and you're already on screen, you know, very sophisticated, you know, hackers and players can figure stuff out. And then, so you just need to be careful about how you manage those things. And, you know, a good approach to hot wallets when people want to do something, they move an asset in that they want to do something with, and they move it back out, presumably to a hardware wallet. Now, I've told people, I'm not a big trader type of guy, right? So I'm not out there trading, but I did recognize that this was there. And for those of you who have big followings and groups of friends, you guys can get together and actually, daisy chain the referrals. And there's a percentage and a percentage and a percentage, right, that you can do.
I actually really like the referral system. The Firewheel is really good at these kind of things. Like, the guy runs casinos in real life. He knows about stuff like this. And the cool thing is, you use someone else's link when you first get in. It helps them. It doesn't hurt you, right? And then you make your own link. You share with other people. So it's like, there's not really a downside. If your buddy sends you a link, you haven't done it yet, right? Use his link. There's no downside.
Yeah, for that perspective. Yeah, we use that on both Comm and also with the AA, right? A lot of people, you know, the adoption amplifier for HEX. A lot of people didn't realize that that was the case, right? That you could actually self-refer. In that case, Richard had given everybody that hint. I'm going to throw the SolidX information in the chat too. Links to the Solid Trader. You often look at that if anybody is interested in that. So in the AA lobby back when, you could self-refer, or you could send the link to somebody else and have them refer. You know, that you use your referral, and then you got an additional bonus. It was pretty substantial, I think. You know, particularly with HEX being up at the all-time high, it was pretty substantial at that point.
I wonder if I was thinking about that today. I actually mentioned it at the PulseX conference when I was doing my prediction speech on what Richard will do next. I wonder if he'll come up with a referral program.
What I would really like, I think he might. I think that's something that's been talked about. Even some of the best devs I know have talked about the idea that he may do that, but nobody knows for sure because they're not talking to him directly, right? But I think we already have it in the form of Comm. For the Comm, if we're talking HEX, I think we already have it for Comm. But there probably is something that could be done for PulseChain in general, right?
Yeah, like something attached to the bridge, like, you know, you get your buddy to bridge in $1 million and you get a kickback, like, but something that could appeal to, you know, like a broader scale of influencers to, you know, so it'd be worthwhile to them to talk about, you know, PulseChain, HEX, etc. Right? Where you and I are not getting paid, we're just here for the love of the game, but some other, you know, less scrupulous influencers on other chains might talk about it if there was a referral option.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, right? Those referrals are big. This is a 5-tier system, so you can go down 5 levels, and then as it spreads out, you get more and more. Like you astutely said, The fire whale actually does this in real life, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so this isn't new to him. So you have that type of stuff going on. I see.
Yeah, he gets how this stuff works.
Look at it in the chat here. What do we got? Oh yeah, a Hex Monkey says he's gotten fake Abduls.
Oh yeah,
I've got a fake.
There are some fake fast Abduls out there, to be sure.
Oh, let's hit my favorite topic of Hex. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen in the very short term. I've been talking about those. Excuse me. I've been talking about those buy signals that had come in on Hex. Now I think Hex absolutely can rip people's faces off as we go forward. It's going to mow the Muppets, probably, right? And I don't know when. I kind of expect if we see the continued downward pressure from people selling off, that we may even get more bullish buy signals that'll come in. It's kind of like an oxymoron: prices going down, you get a buy signal, but that's when they come in, right? And we've seen in the past that that's where things go up. But yeah, I was just thinking about this again today. I know a lot of people follow me in the Hex staking in the T-share space, as we do that. And that's been pretty good. We keep talking about that. But very few people are following through with Quattro Cinco. So I'm fine with that. I mean, I would like it for them, if they were interested in doing it. I'd like people to be successful. But what a huge asymmetrical risk, right? The risk reward on the play is like huge. And I know that a lot of people don't want to hear about the Quattro Cinco staking, but guys, I'm going to keep my ladder up. I've been doing it, and I'm going to keep doing Quattro Cinco because nobody else is doing it. I mean, if there's only 99 other wallets that are doing Quattro Cincos, I'm going to do one. I mean, talk about being the only one in. But just thinking about this again, because I think we are price biased, and again, we don't know what's going to happen with crypto, but I expect some X's. I mean, I'd like to tell everybody, it's good to see a 10,000 X. I'd love that, right?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
It'd be fantastic, right? It'd be very exciting. But just with going back to all-time highs, or let's go to $1. I was thinking about the whole T-share thing again in my thinking. So at $1 Hex, a T-share is paying you $1.50 a day. But to get a T-share, it would be $42,000.
Okay, that's real money.
I mean, it's probably a little higher now. I didn't grab the rate, but I mean, so to get a T-share, and sure, you can go Quattro Cinco and get 3 of them for 42K or whatever, 43K. But damn, I would. So if I put myself in that place, I'm like, okay, Hex makes this incredible run, and I'm looking at my ladder, and I need to get Hex because I want to do a T-share. How am I feeling about locking up $42,000 worth of value? Right? How am I feeling about that? And so it just points out to me that you can have both FOMO and people priced out at the same time if that was to occur, because man, the staking could take a real nosedive, because the only people that have Hex that could stake it would be the ones that already earned the Hex.
Good point.
I mean, they could buy more, but I mean, then we're creating that whole situation of buying the top again, in order to get in, and that's okay. But you got to be willing to do the 4 to 8 years. You got to be able to do the time, man. You can't expect that's going to happen, and then next week, even though you did a 10-year stake, you can get to it, right? So anyway, that's my thinking. I got myself all jazzed up again over Hex, and I was like, oh man, make sure I have my ladder in, and it doesn't have to be insane. You don't have to be insane about it. You could just do. I mean, listen, you're buying $5 coffees, people buying $30 steaks, like a real steak.
Based on current fees on PulseChain, like you could make a $5 Quattro Cinco stake $5 out for 15 years, and Actually claiming that stake would probably still be worthwhile. The fees to claim it, you know, I would think they'll go up from what they are now, but I don't think they'll be as high as they've been on Ethereum in the past.
Yeah.
What do you think the minimum is? What's the least you would stake on PulseChain Quattro Cinco?
I would shoot for collecting 100K if I could.
100,000 hex.
That's what I would shoot for, just to make sure I was clear of any ambiguous situation that might occur that I didn't expect. But 100,000 hex right now, how much is that?
$484.14.
Is it? Yeah. So that's not like break the bank. I personally found that the 10,000 hex stakes didn't work out really great for me. Now, of course, that's coming off the back of ETH and what happened on the Ethereum chain, but yeah, I mean, we did kind of conclude that was kind of a lesson learned. In theory, on paper, you know, doing lots of tiny stakes sounds great, but if you know, it really is a challenge to get to 100K, then save up for a month or two and do it. You know, don't, you know, you have to be crazy about how you do it, you know. But I think it's important to be, if you want to participate in the opportunity, it's important to be staked, because there's a certain class of user who staked, and they're the only ones that are going to get things like you were theorizing, like the emergency end stakes during the conference and whatnot.
Yeah.
I listen, I don't know what's going to happen. Things might just stay the way they are. I don't know. But I also didn't know that the OA was going to come in and stake.
I feel like that emergency end stake, now that I think about it, I think it's almost for sure going to happen.
I disagree with you, but it's okay. I recognize it's possible.
Fair enough.
But let's explore that. So what does that look like? That looks like more of this pain getting people out. Then it looks like pumpage on PulseChain as PulseChain goes up. Maybe we get some of that flippering, right? And all of a sudden PulseChain's going up, Hex is going up. And then with this very high prices, with people making very low APR, which is, I think this is the train of thought you had, but you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're going where I was going.
And so now I've gotten the people who just aren't interested out because
yeah, they low APR, they're not going to stake, or whatever their thinking is. They're not looking big picture.
And then I'm gonna start swinging 10-cent hex in front of your eyes. Woo. You get a emergency end stake. Here's 20-cent hex. You get a emergency end stake. 30-cent hex, 50-cent hex, dollar hex. Dude, I've said it plenty of times. I mean, people would have to be crazy not to consider it.
Totally.
I'm not saying it should be.
Yeah, human nature though, like, you know, like the piñata swings in front of your face enough times, eventually you're likely to hit it, right? But if that's not the piñata you're looking like you, Crispy, are looking at a different piñata, and you won't hit it until it's right there.
Yeah, and so I think that the next big thing is, well, if we lost enough users and enough people aren't participating, and we see a bunch of those T-shares getting crashed. I heard RG talking about this, but that there weren't a lot of stakes out there that were maybe, you know, I run the numbers, so I have them. I have exactly how many are out there, but aren't necessarily all being held by like the average user, right? And so his premise was there's not that many people that actually stake 10 years, but let's say that a significant number of those 10-year stakes are like, I'm out. Well, they make the T-shares even more rare when they do that, because now the T-shares are going away, the payouts go up, and then meanwhile the OA gets rare because the OA gets more of the hex, and then the final, like Sami's final boss, right, discussion. He keeps talking about the final boss. The final boss is, when enough people are out, if you hit the threshold, enough people are out, maybe that emergency end stake, you know, premonition phenomena comes true.
And he would be doing that to pump the APRs, would be the main purpose. But there would also be like a reward, because part of that emergency end stake would go to people who stake hex, right?
There'd be a small reward that would go out to people. The APRs would go high. It would start ratcheting the T-share rate up. And if it happens at a point when there's something like $1 HEX, if you weren't someone who had HEX, you are now, you have a higher bar. You're not locked out. You have a higher bar, right, to be able to get in, because now those T-shares at $1, $42,000, right, for a short staker type of thing, where, you know, 3 for 42K, whatever the number ends up being. And so, yeah, I could follow your scenario, how that could happen. I can definitely see that.
There's definitely other possibilities. Like, I also see your scenario where the OA does not do that, but you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want anybody to mistake me. I'm not saying that's going to happen. If you know, I can't think of everything, but I mean, if I'm at a think tank something, I think about multiple scenarios, right? Not just one.
Agreed.
Not just one, right? And so the other side of the coin is nothing happens, status quo, and in terms of the OA, and then but people still the same scenario up until the OA emergency end staking occurs, and all the same stuff happens, but to a different degree, right? Because now we're talking about the T-shares that people have, and what's not, you know, instead of the OA. And what's funny about that is, you know, because the OA is so big and has so many T-shares, people, you know, other than us talking about it, the geeky people talking about it, you know, Hexicans talking about it, they're really into it. Most people would just miss the fact that if there were 20 million T-shares left, or 25 million T-shares, that 24 million of them were the OA. Like, most people would miss that fact. And so it camouflages the opportunity. So
agreed.
Don't tell anybody about all this great alpha. So Hex Monkey saying, all I want from RH is to be a better market maker and defend prices. All else is secondary. Yeah, I can understand that point of view, Hex Monkey. I think he's a pretty good market maker. But, you know, the market's pretty relentless in that they just, you know, we could see this with, you can talk to the founders that are out there that are doing stuff. You know, you have to fight every single day and put value in, or you let the market take it where you can, so you can fight. It's kind of like, if you run out of ammunition mid-fight, it doesn't matter. You lose the battle. You know. But yeah, I agree with this one too. We have so many quality developers and builders on PulseChain now. I don't care if his team ever develops anything in. Maybe so. But you talked about that today, right? Like, what was your number one thing you thought they were going to come out with cross chain?
That wasn't my number one. I had quite a few things, but the concept of moving PulseX to be on multiple chains and having cross-chain swaps, I think would be cool. I think PulseX would be a fine place to host that, though other places could too. And we do have cross-chain swaps, to be clear. The Power City guys have a cross-chain swap set up. But I think there's room for more on PulseChain. Always.
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk about this. I think there's more stuff coming from Solid Trader.
Pretty sure
is going to surprise some people that might be in that vein. Yeah, Hexagon Greenhorn, Quattro Cinco for the win, for sure. Mr. Mac saying the same, Hex for the win. That's where I'm at. I see Farmer out there. All right. So what else we got going on that's happening? A lot of chatter. We had some fun today with some people talking about Comm on X. So Comm being related to HEX is a reward token that people receive for staking natively HEX. And the longer you stake, the more you have. It's had quite a run. I forget how many X's it's up, but it's like 6-7X against the chart at this point, since the bottom. So that's been going on. So that's been fun to watch. And that's like a scarcity on scarcity on scarcity, because in the Comm world for communists, it's already based on the fact that T-shares are becoming more scarce. So T-shares themselves are becoming more scarce. And so then when Comm is offered up as a bonus for that, it's based on the T-share rate, so you get less and less over time. So it becomes scarce automatically. But the number one, I think probably the number one scarcity is the number of people who do not mint their Comm. They're like, I can't take this. I'm not gonna take 5%.
Why would you not take that?
5 or 10%. They're like, nope, I don't need the extra value for whatever reason. And so we do see a lot of the native stakes just end, and people don't claim their Comm at all. Now, part of that could be an education thing, and if it is, reach out to the community people, and there's a Telegram. They'd be happy to help you. I'm sure they're answering questions there all the time. But you have that going on.
I have a couple farms for Comm on 2FUX that seems to be picking up.
Oh yeah, which ones are those? What are you seeing?
Well, there's one that is just Comm against HEX. I think that's an older one, but then the new one is Refinery Pool with HEX, Comm, and a live token. And that's there's a little bit of volume in there, and I feel like there's some votes going through on Wednesday for those, and we might see some action.
No, keep an eye on that. Yeah, I've been participating in that 2FUX. I've been doing that, and been watching that and watching what's happening with those polls. I saw you were also involved with some other stuff this week. One of my favorite protocols for HEX related stuff at the moment is this actuator.
Yes.
Protocol. I saw you were involved with what is it? Homey Farms, right?
Yeah, the no permissions, the Granularski's Homey Farms. Set up a new pair there. There's actuator token to SolidX. And I haven't checked the APR on that lately. Now, let me take a look. But it was...
I know that was going up, right?
Sorry, could you say again?
No, I said I know it was pretty high. It was going up at the time.
Oh yeah, it was like 175%. And I like that pairing. I think those are they're not innately related in the same way the solid index tokens are, but I think it's two things that are probably going to go up in my opinion. So, to have them paired against each other, it's not a terrible farm if your reward is bigger than the impermanent loss that you would receive. That's kind of the bar right now, in my opinion, when it comes to farming.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I know the actuator people probably appreciate you putting that up too. That's been pretty good. I mean, that's been paying just in their own little protocol with actuator. Yep. I believe it's paying in the 40 to 50% range for the longer tokens.
Right about there.
Yeah, so still doing that.
Oh, it's 162%. It's still paying actuator SolidX.
Wow, that's a big one. That's a big number.
Yep.
Yeah, and so for Randy Hilarski, homie don't play that. That's right.
Indeed.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is from a In Living Color skit from the 90s.
Yeah. Before most of you were born.
Yeah, I was in high school then.
Oh my God, I was an adult on my second career with 6 kids. So.
Oh man, well done.
And I was still running around saying, "Homie, don't play that." Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, this is the No Glasses show and bad haircut. I got to get a haircut this week. The No Glasses show. So we hit on the actuator. Talked about that a little bit. That one's gonna be a fun one to watch. The LPX. Talked a little bit about 2FUX. What else is going on there, guys? What do we want to get after?
Yeah, some questions. Probably the two smartest guys you're going to get to talk to today.
I don't know about
statistically.
That. But, yeah, well, yeah, statistically, maybe so. Maybe so. I gave everybody my little advertisement for HEX and what I'm feeling about that. Let's see, what other things am I chasing after? Well, we did the LPX already, so I could. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Right, here's one that you guys can all ignore, but I'm going to tell you anyways. I think that this is a wonderful time right now for people to learn a little bit about LP and get themselves set up with a stable pool of some type. Whether it's simply going and buying the Pulse, the LP stable LP on PulseChain, which is the combination USDT, USDC, and DAI. That's paying around 4% right now.
We can do better than 4%, Crispy.
Yeah, you can, but there are people who simply just want to be in something and that's it. Or you can go as far as going out into Inc. D, HEX DC, PX DC, the algos. You could be chasing after Coast, helping to build up that liquidity, and set up pairs. And they range. It's variable because whatever's happening on the chain, lower the volume, lower the demand, you don't have as much, right? But my personal kind of objective would be to figure out how to get 10 to 20% on a regular basis for APR on stables. But all that being said, you know what didn't go down in price?
Stables.
I mean, yeah, they varied a little bit, but they didn't go down in price. And so I've been kind of preaching this whole thing. At least get your feet wet with it doesn't have to be big, but just begin to understand how you're going to set things up and what you might be doing with your assets, right? Because a lot of people talk to me about wanting to stay in crypto, but not necessarily in assets, and how you're going to do that, and everything's all rigmarole about how you're going to generate that, whether you're going to go out through V3, whether you're going to try to sell the market, which presumably I'm going to guess 90% of the people are just going to do open market sells, right? That's kind of like how it is. They're going to get antsy, either FOMO or FUD's going to come, they're going to push a button, click, right? And they'll just do a market order. But there are other ways to get out. But then the question is, what do you do with it? Are you going to sit there and watch the stables in your wallet? No, it makes sense to put them to work, help the chain. And so there's a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, and help yourself, right? Like it definitely does help the chain to have liquidity. And you're talking liquidity with stables against stables, no impermanent loss, right?
In this case, yeah, no impermanent loss, presumably, because they're that way. There's several pools on 2FUX on FUX that you can get into that are matched up, and of course they pay a reward token. And that reward token can be converted as well. You can go to LPX at some point here in the near future, if you wanted to use that protocol for it. I mean, Coast is rolling out a new, I believe a fork, a balancer V4. We had talked about that before, I think.
V3.
Is it V3? Yeah.
I think so.
I'm coming back from the future, so sorry. All right, so they're going to come out with balancer V3. And but that apparently that's going to be very stable centric, which is a big deal, right? Because if you're coming in from the outside and you're having a conversation with a no coiner, and you can you can eliminate as much risk as possible to them, and be able to get them 7 to 10 to 12% APR. I don't know if it'll be that high. I don't know what it'll be, right? But if you're able to generate APR, that's pretty huge, right?
Like if somebody's traditional finance, they're used to whatever your bank's paying you right now, like 0.7%, 0.3%, and you show them 12%, like they're gonna freak.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for them because I don't know what their numbers will be, but yes, that's exactly true. And people say, well, I don't, that may not last forever. Yeah, that's true. But it's been pretty steady. The larger, it's kind of like a cycle. The larger the liquidity lock, the more opportunity there is for more people to come in and bring more money in, blah blah blah. And so we get kind of a flywheel of stable value over time. And let me tell you, when the chain starts to pump, those are the pools. Those are one of the pools that start. You can actually see sentiment based on the ratio to $1 that the stables go to. Because when people are fleeing to safety, the stables become expensive, and when they're swapping out into and when I say expensive, I'm talking about 0.001, right? You know,
even
whatever.
if they're at $1 exactly versus 99 cents, like that's
and when they're swapping out, the opposite happens. The prices drop. So when you see stables, you know, testing their pegging a little bit, it's because people are trading out of them. You know,
I don't think most people understand on PulseChain in particular. Like you have your bridge stables and so on and so forth. Like you could send USDC to a penny, right? Like USDC from Ethereum on PulseChain. If you are a big enough whale and there is only so much liquidity and you dumped it into something else,
100%.
You know, like you could send it to a penny. It's totally possible. It won't go to zero.
It won't stay there because I'm going to buy it.
No, I would buy it.
I'm going to buy it. It's like so I had that opportunity when you know, Coast was at 70 cents for a while, right? You had to believe that Coast was coming back, and so
I got into some of that, but that was a leap of faith, to be sure.
It was, but you know, that's kind of like an example of them, right? But I believe in that team, you know. So.
Yeah, those guys show up for work, which is why I also bought it in the, you know, 70-80 cent range. But it was like, there's no redemption mechanism on chain, and that's what differentiates it from something like the liquidity forks, right? Where you can redeem it on chain for the underlying asset. So Coast is different. It's more of an onboarding tool. It's meant to be sold, right? Stoic told me that once, like that. Yeah, Coast is meant to be sold for PulseChain assets. That's its purpose. Yeah. Where is Alex? He's in my basement. He says he's fine.
He's put the lotion on the skin, man. He's in your basement. You lower him the lotion, huh? Oh man. Oh yeah. Hey, NJ Dub. Most of the time, not always, most of the time, all of the stables are less than $1.
Yep. USDC DAI, doesn't matter what chain either. Like, you know, there's bigger pools on Ethereum that can absorb a bigger cell, but like it works the same. It is just a token. It's not, there's nothing magic about it.
There's been a couple times where I've seen them pop, I think, if I remember correctly. Like if I look
when there's a place where people want to use it, like a farm or something, new farm comes out, you know, like Ink Dollar, I think hit like $1.20 at some point, right? Because, you know, people are trying to get in a farm and they buy it up, and that happens on to a smaller degree on different chains. Even you'll see it with DAI and all kinds of stuff. Or if people are trying to get out, they're like, I want to sell my whatever risky asset, and I need to sell it right now because I'm freaking out. And then you ratchet up the price of DAI, right? Like they all work the same, up and down. You liquidity pools, apples and oranges.
Yep, looking right now at the charts to see what's going on real quick. I'm not showing them on the screen, but ETH is in the green still today. Hasn't dropped down. Hasn't dropped down. You know, 31.47, high of 31.51. So it's still sitting up at its high. That's going pretty good.
Bitcoin, more importantly, BTC has dropped and ETH did not drop, right? Whereas in the past 6 months, 2 years, like you would have seen a correlation there where ETH went down, usually somewhat of a multiple of what BTC went down.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, and over the last couple of days, Bitcoin's coming down, ETH is going up. You know, so the talking heads have been talking about this a lot. The idea that we're going to see a change in the ratios. And so this may be the beginning. This may be the beginning of it, if you believe in that. The XRP event was pretty big this week. The amount of amount of pumpage on that, but it's just below $3 at 292. And I was looking at this chart before ETH did its little pump today. I was saying to guys in the chat that looked to me like XRP might be leading a little bit.
Interesting.
They got kind of a weird. They have a weird cycle this cycle because of what happened with the lawsuit and all that. You know, but yeah. You know, HEX had a pretty big, or EHEX had a pretty big wick down today, and came back a little bit on the EHEX. We saw a similar wick, not the same magnitude, on PX. Came back a little bit, kind of indicates that there's a little bit of reflex there, buying back. Ink followed kind of a similar pattern. You know, a lot of these charts, when I look at them, they're almost the same patterns. bar patterns, because they're so tied together,
Oh, they're very much tied together.
Yeah. Yeah, JP saying ModCoin. I had only heard about that. I don't know anything about ModCoin, but that's another thing with crypto, man. So many chains, so many different things going on. Can't possibly follow it. So this is our flavor, right? I like talking about things that are involved with HEX mostly. Secondary is kind of like everything involved with PulseChain. The tokens that I like.
I like talking about things that have yield, and HEX is one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking. I may have found it with LPX, but I am looking for that. That's kind of like magical situation where I just get paid and I don't have to worry about it.
There's always a bit of a musical chairs game, especially when we start talking about things like farming stables. Like you could just get paid and not worry about it, but if you want to be a little more actively involved, you're probably going to be able to double your APR, right? Especially when we move into the bear market, and a lot of people have the stables plan, right? Like probably you can make 4% and not touch it, right? But like if you want to make 12%, maybe 20% way on the outside through an entire bear market, you're going to have to play musical chairs a bit. And there's always, like moving from one pool to another, one protocol to another, there's always a little bit of risk in anything where you're moving your crypto. So there's a trade-off there.
Yeah. Always something. So I see we don't have anything really else in the chat to go over. What else are you thinking? What's happening this week?
This week, well, I was I appeared 9 times in the PulseX conference there. That was my main activity this week so far. I'm going to be launching a new token pretty soon. It's we're getting towards the audit stage, and that's the upgrade for ink printer, when we're going to launch the Incinerator token that burns prints and rewards people in ink. It's a whole protocol thing with farms and stuff. So it'll be a little bit of work, but yeah, get into the audit part. So soon, 2 weeks, how it goes.
Not going on. What else are we thinking about is going to happen in our ecosystem that kind of like at large? I'm trying to think if I can think of anything that might be coming. Talked about all the things I know about.
Well, we know about the marketing, but we're probably still a month, 2 months off on that. I'm very much looking forward to that. The 2 postcards 2.0 is what I'm positing is what it's going to
be. I think that's probably the 2-month mark's coming up here pretty soon. Well, we shouldn't really rely on a specific date, but roughly.
I think it's going to be longer than like that exact mark, though. It might be off by a month. Like there's shipping things. There's containers coming from China. They're coming to the U.S. Like that takes it could take a very short time, but typically it would take like 40 days. Like it's this kind of, when we talk these volumes, when you have millions of pieces of something, nothing happens in extremely quickly.
So we can change. So we can change 2 more weeks to 2 more months. Right? 2 more months,
perhaps.
2 more months, that'll work. Hey, McSlammin, I don't know what's going on with Hexy Bastard. So I don't know what's happening with him. Haven't really heard. I haven't heard much from those guys either. So, all right. Well, I think that's probably it. You got to be tired from all the hours on stream and everything going on.
I'm a little socially zapped. I guess how sometimes I have to take a nap after doing too many streams just to let my brain quiet down. I still feel wired right now, but I know I'm gonna like crash soon.
Yeah, you're getting pretty randy in the PMs and the DMs there. I saw a couple of your responses. I know you're just joking around with me, but I saw a couple of your responses thinking, he did say he started working out again at training.
I did. Yeah.
I kind of took that as your testosterone. So.
I don't think there's been a major shift in my testosterone, but hey, thanks. I'll take it.
I don't know. Over here in the U.S., I got mostly estrogen. So off you go.
I asked my doctor and my wife if I could get extra testosterone, and they both said no. I was disappointed.
I'm gonna leave
Maybe
that one
another
alone.
10 years.
Yeah, I'll leave that one alone a little bit. I was gonna ask you something about that. Damn, not about the testosterone, but about the working out part. But
yeah.
Well, I have not been doing the RH workouts, but I think I'm about. I think if I go check, I'm about 72 days in.
Oh, really?
Over 4 months, which is pretty good. But I've been working on some different nutritional things, and I could use it. but more importantly, what I've been working on is muscle mass.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's huge because you get your muscle mass up, and then you burn more calories just being alive, right?
Alive. That's right. I didn't know. I don't know why you product placed that token, but that's a good shoe in alive, right? So yeah. So I've been doing some of that. I think that's about it.
You doing anything for grip strength? That's a good one. You get some of those squeezy things,
Yeah. Hey, you know what the best one that I've done. No, I haven't been doing grip strength. I should try that. But I was thinking about some jokes when you did that, so I had to stop myself from answering.
I see.
But when you're a lot of times I'll talk to my wife. When do you do this? I think the most challenging, believe it or not, I think one of the most challenging exercises I've been doing is glute bridges.
Oh yeah, bridges can be hard.
Yeah, man, my ass is rock hard now, man. I'll tell you what, it's been hurting too. But not just because of crypto, though.
We'll start to call you hard ass pretty soon.
Yeah, hard ass. Yeah, that might work. All right, and with that, though, Jay Soul might not have been talking about me. He is buying his ass 2 weeks more. Buying back his ass. All right.
Now that we've brought down the level a couple notches, yeah, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, we're working on it. I guess we probably should wrap up. I don't see anything else out there, but we'll come back with more. I'm gonna try to gather some information on these new protocols, some of the old protocols. We'll bring back information next week. If you guys have questions, comments, things you want to have addressed, hey, send them in. We'll try to get them addressed. And then people can contact me at HexFireIO here on the old YouTubes or on Twitter. Same thing. And where can they reach you, Mr. Fast Abdul?
Find me all over the place, mostly on YouTube, on other people's channels, but also on Twitter. It's at Fast Abdul. I spell Abdul in a funny way. You guys will figure it out. Or via the website, so 2phux.io or ink printer, that's incprinter.com, links to telegrams, etc. there. We'll never DM you. That's a scammer.
Yeah, I won't be DMing you either, but I mean, I feel like I should have more websites to tell people about.
You have hexfire.io.
I might make up a couple and just say them out loud, but then it might be a site that somebody shouldn't go to, so I won't do that. But you guys stay safe out there. Remember, people are always trying to scam you, so don't always double verify your connections. Don't connect to something you shouldn't. Be careful on these weird sites out there.
Treasures. Yeah, treasures. All of you. Right now.
Treasure.
Directly from the manufacturer, not from a garage sale.
Get it. Get after it. And then with that, we're going to go ahead and close out, and we'll see you guys maybe next week. Woohoo!